Alright guys, welcome back. What we have here is a bone stock Emek from Planet Eclipse. I got this one from my home field, and what we are going to do today is we are going to install a Pops ASA and a Deadly Winds Hair 45. We also are going to change the spring in the trigger, and I will show you guys that here as soon as we get the marker broke down. I am by no means sponsored or an affiliate of Planet Eclipse, Deadly Winds, anything like that. If you take your guys' markers apart, do it at your own discretion. I am not a professional, but I have done this before. This marker was had these upgrades installed. I put everything bone stock back on it, and so I'm going to show you guys how to install these upgrades for it, just in case nobody knows how to. So yeah, let's get with it. Take the barrel off here, set that off to the side. Like I said, this is bone stock. I have played with this marker with these upgrades. Phenomenal. The only upgrade I haven't done is the trigger spring, so we will do that in this video. First things first, you will need a 1/4 inch Allen, and I do believe this is a 5/32 Allen, and that should be all you need, and a ballpoint pen with the spring in it. This pin broke, so we're going to use this pin to do the upgrade, and I believe that is it. Oh, you do, I would highly suggest getting a thing of grease to lube up the O-rings. These O-rings have been lubed up, so I'm not too worried about it. But yes, let's get into it. So first things first, let's take, actually, on the Emex, you can pull this little tab right here, and you got nice little spots that you can pry off, and take your covers off, your grip. That one is a little bit tricky, so we got those off. Set those off to the side so they're out of the way. Next, let's take the ASA off. Fumbled around here. I highly suggest getting a Allen wrenches that have the ball ends. It's a little bit easier getting into these, getting to those screws. Let's get this off here. Set that off. This should come out. Now so here is your rig. Be careful because you could lose these square nuts. They do fall out from time to time. This is your rig. Sometimes the stem does come out of it with it, but sometimes it don't. This one didn't. Your rag will screw right off here. I will show you the O-rings. They already came pre-greased. I've greased them as well. So set that rag off to the side. Next thing we want to do is we want to get to these screws here. Just these two. Okay? So to do that, we will screw these. And I'll show you real quick here once I get this one out why having a ball end Allen wrench is easier to get. A lot of the older markers, manufacturers, they had put a hole right here so that you can get down in there and with a straight, like get in there straight. I don't know why they did away with that. So what I do is I break it loose and then get my Allen wrench in there and unscrew it. Be careful not to lose any parts. Next thing, the top half of your marker will hinge up, and then you just wiggle it right out. That little tab there fits down into that slot, right? And then you're good to go. So top half of your marker, put it right there, and this is what you're left with. This is where we're doing all the work at. Your trigger valve, your 3-way, is sitting right here. What you'll need to do is you'll need to pop this pin out right here Alright, so just take your Allen wrench, keep your hand behind it, and just punch it out. Alright, comes out pretty easy, don't lose that. Just in case you want to go back to your original three-way. And then after that, you can just tip it upside down. This block will come out. You will not need this, but you will need the seal that goes on top. And then your three-way, your stock three-way should come out, and it looks just like this. Okay, set that off to the side. You will not need that any longer. And like I said, unless you want to go back to original. And then you're left with this. So let's open up the Deadly Winds Hair 45. Let's get it out. As you can see, it's already been installed. It's got grease on it. What you want to do is drop it down in there just like this. Orientate it so that the best way to orientate it, know you're doing it right, is your bottom brass piece faces towards the front of the marker, and a brass piece faces up. All right. If you hold your lower part of your marker like this, all right, left hand side brass and top brass. It just drops down in there just like so. Alright, it should sit right on top. You will not need this block, I'm sorry. You will not need this block, so keep it safe with your stock three-way, but take that seal off there, put it on top. Okay, just like so. And that's pretty much it on your valve. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take that back out because we are going to get to the trigger spring. So to do that, you will need a Phillips head screwdriver, smaller the better. Okay, so you don't strip it out. There's 4 screws right here that hold your safety latch detent. This is what this piece is right here, and we'll get it off there and I'll show you here pretty quick. Alright, like I said, make sure you don't lose any of those parts like I just did. Luckily I found it. Best thing to have is like a tech mat. Stay tuned because I'm going to have a marker stand that is a tech mat, and that way you can mount your marker on it and have a slot for like O-rings, you know, like a tray that can catch all your bolts, and just really convenient. So let's continue. Best thing to have is a screwdriver that has a magnetic end on it. This one is supposed to be magnetic, but it's not working. Just a cheap set. You know, you don't have to have top of the line tools to work on these markers, any markers. Things being tricky coming out there. Alright, I'll take the last screw out. Okay, and your latch detent, your safety latch detent should come right out of there. Alright, so here is the stock spring. It's a little bit heavier, right? It sits right on that latch and has a nub on it so that it slides right down on there. Hopefully you can see that in the video. If you want, you can hold on to that spring. I'll put it in a bin. Now let's get the spring that we are going to use out of this ballpoint pen. Alright, what you want to do is you want to cut this pin, and it does not look like I have any side cutters here. I will be right back. Alright, so I also meant to say that you'll need a pair of like nippers, wire cutters, something to cut this spring down. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to cut this spring in half, and we are going to test it. Let's see how spring it is. So you don't have to cut it to the exact same size, right? This is just going to make this this trigger a little bit lighter for you to give, shoot it faster. This is a Emek. It's a Emek marker, so walking the trigger is going to be a little tricky. It can be done. So yeah, what you want to do is, after you've cut your spring down, grab your safety latch. At this point in time, you can take your safety out. We are putting in a Pops ASA, so you can take it out or you not. I'm going to keep mine installed, just for the sake of safety. Alright, and then what you want to do is you want to take your safety latch detent. It has a slot for the spring to sit in. You'll want to set it right down in there, right, and get everything lined right back up. Take your Phillips head screwdriver, hold everything down, tighten it up. I would suggest going corner to corner. And tighten it down. Alright. Stuff down here. This one didn't want to come out, so it was still on the latch detent. Tighten it down. Install your last spring. Or spring. Install your last screw. Sorry. Down, make sure everything's tight and nice and snug. Right, we don't want anything rattling loose. Test your safety out, make sure it's going to work. It does a lot of times. When you start doing modifications, things don't like to work like they used to. This one works, so we're good. Alright, now grab your Deadly Winds Hair 45 3-way. Once again, your brass piece is facing the front of the marker, and the other brass piece is facing up. What you want to do is just slide it right down in there. It just sits just like that. Alright, now we can install the upper part of the marker. Grab your screw. Grab your Allen, just barely snug it down. Alright, I like to have all the hardware installed before I fully tighten everything down. Alright, tighten it down, just like such. Go, just snug. Alright, we don't want to over tighten it, we don't want to strip the threads out, just like that. And there we go. Alright, next we have the stock ASA. Set it off to the side. Let's put everything, all the stock parts in here with the stock spring. Don't forget the pin. Alright, close it up, save it for a rainy day. Let's grab your Pops ASA. I highly suggest putting this on any marker, anything like a Pops ASA or this custom ASA, Custom Prox ASA, which is a screw on my autococker here, which is taken apart. We got one of our buddies, his son. We got his cocker up and running. We used some of my parts off of it. Next thing, you want to take your reg, push it down ever so gently, and then screw it on, just like such. All right. You'll know when it's fully seated, because you can't tighten it up anymore. Do not use a pair of pliers to tighten this up, because it will damage the reg, and then you're out a marker and you're down for the day, or until you get another marker. Alright, slide your ASA with the reg up into the marker. What I like to do is to make sure that the pass-through tube is snapped in. could hear it snapped, so we're good. Install the ASA. Put the bolts back in it to hold the ASA on. Grab your Allen wrench. Alright, once again, just, forgot that when we took this off, the square nut had dropped out. So, install that. Now, tighten up your bolts. Like I said, snug it. Go to the other side, get it started. Get it snug. Go back to the other side. Snug that one all the way down. That way your ASA is not sitting cockeyed in there and it won't seal. That's a nice little turn. And we're good. Alright. Oh yeah. Much better. Look at that. Just fitting there loose. It might be too loose, but when you air it up, it should hold a little bit more pressure on it. And we will test it. Let's get our covers back on. Alright. Sometimes they can be a little tricky. Just like such. This little tab here. There we go. Nice and snug. Push that clip back in. And there we have it. And that is the upgrade. So what we done was we put the Pops ASA on. We changed the stock 3-way to a Deadly Winds Hair 45. And we cut the stock spring down, or we took the stock spring out and took a ballpoint pen spring, cut it in half, and installed it into the marker. We should be good to go. Stay tuned and we will have a video of it shooting.